Michelle Marchant Johnson, and I'm privileged to work with amazing women throughout the world to help them identify and remove their barriers to love, meet and attract the right man, become the woman that he falls madly in love with, and to help women enjoy loving, lasting love with a high-quality man. Today, I've asked my lovely, amazing friend, Kathleen Graham, to join me for what we believe will be a very valuable and juicy conversation to get you inspired, get you started. So first of all, Kathleen, welcome. So happy to have you here.
Woohoo! Thank you, Michelle. So good to be here with you. Hey, everybody.
So happy to have Kathleen with me. We're just going to dance today and share some things that we've learned that we think could be valuable to you. Before we dive right into our content, I want to share with you just a little bit more about Kathleen and give a more formal introduction because she has amazing gifts and is doing amazing work out there in the world with women. And I think you'll be really inspired by her. Kathleen Graham is the Love Magnet Mentor and the founder of Wild Women in Love. She shows smart, successful single women how to become a magnet for love so they can attract and keep an amazing man who cherishes them. Her expertise is in teaching women how to call in their king, a loving, supportive, emotionally mature man who will adore them and treat them like a queen. She has successfully worked with thousands of women around the world. So welcome again, Kathleen.
Thank you. My pleasure to be here. I'm so excited. This is a hot topic.
It is a hot topic, and Kathleen and I wanted to partner today to bring to you just a few things that we think could be really valuable to you. We're going to be talking about the top 5 reasons we almost missed out on our Mr. Right. Because like many of you, Kathleen and I had our own speed bumps and potholes on the path to love before we met and married our now amazing, wonderful husbands. And so really we're going to be sharing some truth bombs with you that we think could be very valuable, very important in order to create that win-win scenario. Having some awareness around some of these things and how you're showing up in your interactions with men can be incredibly transformational in terms of what is possible and can help you to have that win-win experience with great men out there. So Kathleen, I'm going to let you jump right in and share our first topic, and that is one of the top 5 reasons, and that is manning up to find love.
Yeah, my goodness. So here's the deal. A lot of you gals who are watching here are in the habit of being single for a long time and therefore being independent, right? So you're used to figuring things out. You're used to being a director of your life. You're used to making sure that you can pay the bills and that everything functions optimally. So what occurs when you want to reach a goal in your life is you set a goal, you come up with a strategy, you make a plan, and you go after it, right? And you make it happen. This is how you've had a lot of success in your career and how you've had success in your life at large. The problem is that energy is what's called your masculine energy, which you girls have probably heard about. We've got both energies. We've got masculine and feminine in us. And your masculine side is amazing. It's the side that's the doer, that takes action, that makes it happen, that breaks through, that gets results, that doesn't waste time. We all need that part of ourselves to be able to reach our goals and to have a successful life where we have achievements, right? And we have fulfillment. So the problem is that energy doesn't work in your love life. But most single women that I meet, and Michelle, you can probably attest to this too, women are in the habit of bringing that masculine, go after it, make it happen energy to their love life, and it doesn't yield the results that you would hope that it would yield. What's actually happening is exactly what Michelle said, is that you're manning up to find love. We call it manning up because you're putting on this masculine armor where you feel that it's up to you and that you have to do in order to get love. You must be in action in order to find the one. And the problem with this approach, unfortunately, it doesn't work, and it sends out the wrong signal. So it sends out this vibe to men where it actually makes you repel them instead of attract them. Because when you're running this energy of being manned up and in your masculine and making it happen, it gives off the vibe that you don't actually need a man. So it's counterintuitive, right? It actually, you feel like you're doing what you should be doing and what you're supposed to be doing, but it's giving off the wrong signals, and men are finding you unapproachable and even invisible. So I don't know about you, Michelle, but I have a lot of gals that I talk to who are so frustrated because they're like, Kathleen, I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing to put myself out there, right? To be in the game, to be online, to go on dates. But you'll be spinning your wheels if you're running from this masculine energy, because there's actually a much different approach that's needed.
Yeah, and I think this is a tricky one because I think so many women, myself included, have developed a strong sense of this out of necessity or out of choice. I mean, some of us haven't had the choice but to make things happen in our own lives and to take control and to man up. I mean, we've had responsibilities financially and in every other way for our own well-being and livelihood. But what this can sometimes look like or feel like in relationship to a man is you might be leading with your accomplishments or your career or kind of trying to one-up him. You might be kind of taking the lead, or it really might be more subtle than that. It might just be this energetic thing. Mm-hmm. And it can be actually something that we can have kind of going on without even realizing it. I know when I was single and really rocking it out in my corporate career, just to give one really quick example, I can remember one year I got this huge bonus check and I was excited. I was thrilled. Mm-hmm. And I remember this man that I was dating, I was showing him this bonus check and I was thinking he would be really impressed and that he would really like me and see how amazing I was. And it kind of had the opposite effect because actually this man, this bonus check might have represented as much as he made in a year. And I was leading, and it created kind of this competitive energy that I didn't intend. I just wanted him to be impressed with me and like me, but I didn't realize that. That was, just one example from my own life of leading kind of from that masculine. It was all about my accomplishments, how much money I made, etc.
Yeah. So it's making that distinction then of where you're operating from. So Michelle just articulated that she was trying to impress him, right, by leading with her achievements. But the distinction that I want to make here is that the right man will not be threatened by your success. So we're not saying that you can't have a kick-ass bonus that you're showing your husband or showing your boyfriend. Like, the right man who's in his power will celebrate you, but it's you just being aware of is that what you're leading with? Right? When you're going out on dates, are you leading with, here's my resume, here's my achievements, here's the bonus I'm expecting at the end of the year? That's giving off the wrong vibe, where a guy is going to feel like there's not room for him and he may feel intimidated. But down the road with the right guy, he'll celebrate you, right? Like our husbands celebrate our success, and they love when we're making bank, right? And when we're kicking butt in our businesses.
Right. It's an energetic thing, and I'm glad you gave that distinction. And this actually leads really well into number 2, which is being too independent. So again, we're not saying you can't be independent, accomplished, proud of who you are, and the right man will absolutely celebrate that. That having been said, though, as Kathleen already alluded to, a man needs to feel like there's a place for him, like he's needed, like there's something he can contribute to the equation, to your life, to you. Like he can make a difference in your life. And we understand so many of the women out there have been successful in their careers, are successful in their careers, are out there doing big, amazing things. And there's absolutely everything to celebrate about that. However, it's important in relationship with men to be aware of kind of what I call the I've got this attitude, where you come across as like, I've got everything so handled, so covered, that there's really not the space or the room in my life for a man. My husband shared with me a little bit about a woman that he dated before he and I met. And I knew this woman kind of via other people, via friends. I didn't know her very well personally. But amazing, incredibly accomplished, educated. She's the kind of woman that would send out a Christmas letter that would say, in January, I built a school for the blind. In February, I ran a marathon. In March, I started another foundation, that kind of thing, once a month, some major accomplishment. And I'm like, who could even keep up with her? I'm exhausted reading this letter. And I'm like, why would my husband be so attracted to me? I'm, I think I am have something to be acknowledged in my own right, but I wasn't doing some of the things she was doing. And my husband revealed to me, he said, I just couldn't really see where I could make a difference or really fit into her life. She had everything so handled, going so well, and seemed like she didn't need me in any way, and I couldn't figure out where I could even fit in to make a difference. Aww. So we recognize that you're not a housewife from the 50s where you need to maybe have a man just to support you and to survive, but we need to be aware and create these openings for men to have that possibility of feeling like they're needed, wanted, can make a difference in our lives. And it can be in small ways, big ways, and everything in between. It can be everything from letting him drive and letting yourself relax and sit back and let him take the wheel and let him know you appreciate not having to drive for that moment, even though you're perfectly capable. That's just a subtle example of one way that you can let a man know that he can make a difference in your life. And then let him know you appreciate it, because men get satisfaction and in part fall in love with women by doing for them, by providing something of value to them. Kathleen, I'll let you pick it up there.
I love that. Yeah, I love that story about your husband. It's so heartwarming. It's so important to men. It's like oxygen to them to be able to provide for you as a woman and to do for you and to make your life easier and to support you. And I really got that now with my husband. Like, he, in the early years of our marriage, would tease me and say, remember, you're married now. Like, I've put those bags down. I'm carrying those bags for you. Like at the hotels, I'd be rolling my own luggage. He's like, I've got that for you. It makes me so happy to take care of you in that way. And what it is it's a softness, because when you're independent, you harden a bit in this, I've got it, right? It's like you armor up a little bit. So that when you soften a little bit to allow help and allow support, you're what I call penetrable. A man wants to see, like Michelle said, where he fits in, where he can come in and penetrate your heart and your being and your soul and provide for you, not just physically through helping you with your bags, but emotionally. So this one is really important, and it can be tough for girls because we are just used to being independent. I was very much an I've got it girl. Took a lot of pride and having it together and being able to handle everything on my own. So it was a big blind spot for me. And once I got it, though, it was like the tides, the ocean parted and all the quality guys started coming out of the woodwork pursuing me when I realized, okay, yeah, I would love to be supported by a man.
Yeah, before we leave this one, I can remember a friend of mine sharing a little experience she had and how that represents how innate this is in men, even from the time they're little boys. She had to give a presentation like at an elementary school. They were holding this presentation for adults in like the gymnasium at this local elementary school. And it just so happened she arrived at recess and had all of these things to carry into the gymnasium. And the little boys were gathering around her car, fighting about who could help her carry in her things. They just were falling all over themselves because they wanted to help. And I just thought that was such a sweet illustration of how innate this is within men. And just one little thing to keep in mind here, ladies, if it's not illegal, immoral, or doesn't make you feel unsafe or compromised, wherever possible, when a man offers something, say yes. Receive.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So Kathleen, our next one is doubting you can have it all in love and lowering your standards.
Yes. So this is a big one. So all you ladies that are listening, you are all amazing. You're brilliant, you're smart, you're kind, you're beautiful, you're talented. And there's probably some doubt that's creeping into your mind as to why you're still single. Like intellectually you get it that you're really a good catch, but there's a part of you that's probably growing doubt and wondering, why haven't you met your guy yet? You see your friends coupling up and having families, and it sort of erodes your confidence in yourself. And it's a thing that happens unconsciously, right? Like, you get it that you're a great catch, but a part of you is really starting to wonder. So what happens is you start to consider settling. you start to think, well, maybe I can't have it all. Maybe there isn't going to be a guy who's the full package. So you start to consider guys that are less than. And what I mean by less than is not that men are good or better, but there's a man who will match you. He'll match you physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. He'll be on your level, body, mind, and soul, where you just feel matched and you feel met. And when you're in this pattern of being single for a while and starting to doubt, you start to really consider lowering your standard and settling out of scarcity, out of fear that there's not going to be someone for you that's the whole package. So you better settle for something because you don't want to end up alone for the rest of your life. So the problem with this is that it keeps you stuck in a cycle of attracting the wrong guys, right? Because you've already determined that you can't have it all, which is not true. You can have it all. You can have the whole package. And men will talk more about that this week. You'll hear their perspective, which is going to be so enlightening for you. But I want to really help you see that, it doesn't serve you to listen to that voice that has the doubt. Just because he's not here yet doesn't mean he's not coming. Just because he hasn't arrived does not mean he doesn't exist. He's being prepared for you right now, just as you're being prepared for him. So don't lower your standards. Don't give up. Don't let those doubts take over.
Yeah, and this one I think is a tricky one, Kathleen, because I think as women go through their years, perhaps, of being single and are not meeting the level of men that they're really hoping to attract on a consistent basis, I think a lot of women do kind of start to wonder if he's really out there, and if just to have someone around, they need to lower their standards. I know for a period of time during my 43 years as a single woman, that was something that I did for a period of time. I kind of settled, but I wasn't happy because I knew ultimately this wasn't who I wanted to end up with. Not that they weren't good people, but we weren't matched well. And so it's disappointing, it's discouraging, and I would say there's a small percentage of women out there who may need to kind of get realistic. In other words, no mortal man could possibly ever make them happy. But I think that's a very small percentage of women. I think for most women, the key is not lowering your standards or not compromising in a way that makes you feel like you're giving up, but it's actually to get deeper clarity about what is really most important to you and what would really make you happy, and then holding yourself in that way as a woman of high value so that you can be seen that way. We tend to get the respect from other people that we show for ourselves. If we're not valuing and honoring ourselves, we're not going to be seen as high value by a man.
Yep. Well said.
So important.
Yep. Agreed.
Do you have anything to add to that one before we go on?
You know what? This is just a big one. I would just invite you ladies to let it time release and let it marinate on you. And, I understand it can be really frustrating to be single for so long, and you can have a lot of reasons as to why you're doubting, but I want to honor you that you're here and that you're willing to grow yourself and that you're willing to learn, because that is the responsibility that is necessary. It's partly what Michelle is saying, which is owning your worth and standing in your value as a woman, and looking at, okay, I am the common denominator here. What might be off about the message that I'm broadcasting, about what my beliefs are that are perhaps attracting the wrong guys and contributing to me not meeting the full package man. So don't give up. You're in the right place. You're getting support with Michelle. You're going to hear so much from the men on the panel to really help you shift your energy and shift your perspective and rise into your value so that you can attract your partner, your husband, whatever it is that you long for.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you mentioned that, because some of the men on the panel have gone pretty deep into what really attracted them to their now wife or girlfriend that they're in partnership with. And you'll be surprised at some of the things that they say in terms of what really attracted them. And some of them have even talked about the value of being a little older. So if you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s and are single listening to this, or even beyond, some of these men say what they find really attractive about women who are a little older. So if you have some of these kinds of doubts or fears, insecurities going on, you're in the right place.
Yes.
Okay, so our next one goes right along with this, fear of rejection or fear of being too much. So let's just acknowledge the elephant in the room as we go through life. If you've got a few decades behind you, chances are you've been knocked around a little bit by life, got a few nicks and dents, right? In the heart, you may have had your heart broken more than once. You may feel like you've fallen on your face. You may feel like you have a lot of real or perceived mistakes. I can tell you I shot myself in the foot so many times it's a wonder I could walk when it comes to relationships. But here's the thing. The past is the past. You are the woman that you are in part because of your experiences. And hopefully you have learned and grown from those, and you are a wiser woman. And you're here also to develop new knowledge, new insights, new skills. You're obviously dedicated to your own self-growth. And so while these fears of rejection can be very real and can even be based on real life experience, we're here to tell you, leave the past in the past. Forgive yourself for any real or perceived mistakes. Today is a brand new beginning, and you have the power to set your course for what you want in your life. I will also say that one of the things that sometimes seems kind of counterintuitive is that in order to really be seen, and we all on a deep level want to be seen and loved for who we really are. In order to really be seen, you have to take risk. You have to be real, and you have to allow that vulnerable side of you to come out. I think there's a quote by Brené Brown that says, there is no intimacy without vulnerability. And all that simply means is if you really want that love, where someone really sees you, gets you, loves you for who you are, you have to be willing to risk showing them who you are. And in part, that is by showing your vulnerability. And when I speak about vulnerability, I think that encompasses not only your fears and your weaknesses, but it encompasses your hopes and your dreams and the things that really matter to you, and being willing to show that heart-centered side of yourself rather than sitting there across from a man being all calculating and thinking about every single thing that comes out of your mouth. I shared with Kathleen at the beginning of this conversation, I'm just someone who's into being real. I'm into, real life. Things are not perfect. None of us are perfect. The good news is we don't have to be perfect to be loved. So release those fears. If you need some support moving through some deep trauma or hurt, get some support, but forgive yourself, forgive the past, and allow yourself the joy of being open to receiving love, because it's one of the greatest gifts that life has to offer. Kathleen, I'll let you.
Absolutely. It will be the greatest gift that life is going to offer you, ladies. Hear it from Michelle and take that to heart, because love is coming for you. And one thing that I would add about, this fear of rejection, when you are coming from that place, what happens is you reduce who you are on a date, and you're afraid to show your full self, and you may dim your lights. You may try to be cool. You may try to be agreeable. You may try to be funny. You may try to be, whatever it is you think will be attractive to the man of the moment. And when you bend yourself in that way, it doesn't yield the results that you want. We actually want you to fully be yourself, because we want you to weed out the wrong men who don't like your whole self, because there are men that it just isn't going to be their thing. And great, we don't want you wasting your time or energy, right? Spending yourself on guys who don't get you or don't have the capacity to see you and really feel you. So we really want to invite you to step into owning the beauty of your authentic nature and bringing your full self to every date, because the right guy is going to be completely enamored by you. He's going to think you're the most beautiful woman in the world. He's going to love all your idiosyncratic ways and all the things you only do in the privacy of your home. For him, you would not be too much. For the wrong men, you will be too much, and that's okay. Don't make it mean anything. There's guys that you want nothing to do with also. It goes both ways. So we really want to encourage you to step into really owning that, rather than rejection, it's like, let's rephrase, instead of thinking of rejection, it's like you're just being rerouted to where your soul needs to go. So he's not rejecting you. It's just the universe, God, divine, your higher self, your soul, whatever you believe in, is rerouting you to the correct path towards your man.
Yeah, that was beautifully said, Kathleen. Thank you. And I think, one of the things that seems kind of counterintuitive about this is that when you are real and when you let go of that fear of rejection to the point that you can show up in that real, authentic way, it creates the opening for intimacy with the man because he feels safe in showing more of his real self. In other words, he can sense kind of like the guard or the mask is down, and he can feel safe to show more of himself and his heart and tap into that beautiful energy and love and beauty that is you. So it's just kind of a really cool thing. So, okay, let's see. We're on to number 5, Kathleen, which is being judgmental and overly critical. Wow, this is a big one too, right?
Yes, I was totally guilty of this. I was very judgmental and overly critical as a single woman. And I'll say it, I had unrealistic expectations. I had a list that was mostly from like my concept of what I think I needed in a man. And what it led to was me prematurely ruling guys out and not giving guys a fair chance. And what I ultimately had to discover was that it was my own self-criticism and my own judgments that I was projecting on guys. It was like I actually was the one who felt like I wasn't enough and that I wasn't lovable, I wasn't pretty enough, I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't dateable or choosable or pickable. So it's like I was out of touch with the fact that I had all that going on. So instead I would just judge all the guys because it kept me safe. It kept me from having to be vulnerable. It kept me from having to really expose myself and take the risk of whether or not a guy would want to spend time with me or energy with me. So this is a tricky one because as a single woman, you are just in the habit of using your brain all the time. When you are independent and you're in the habit of controlling your life, your brain really never goes off. So you are always like analyzing and picking through and selecting and sorting. Yep. So that part is like you bring it to the date naturally because why would you want to waste your time with a guy? Like, let's use this date to really like discover whether he meets my list. So this is not the right approach. Yeah. What I encourage my clients to do is to bring a queen energy to a first date. And the queen is generous and gracious. She's open-minded and she allows time for a man to reveal himself to her, while staying in her power, staying in her center, and owning her value. So there's not this need to like rush and figure it out whether or not he's your guy. There's not this checklist happening that I call manalizing, where you're like reading through, figuring out what he's like and what he's not like and whether that's a match for you. There's a relaxed energy where you just let him be. There's a graciousness where then a man can feel that there's room for him to show up. So first dates tend to go better when you bring that type of energy, and you'll be less disappointed because you're relaxed about it. Mm-hmm. What do you have to add about this? Did you experience this? Were you judgmental or critical?
Absolutely. And I think it comes from a lot of places. I think it comes from, maybe we're a little older, maybe we're really wanting to find the right person, maybe we've been hurt or disappointed before. So as women, we show up, with this mental checklist, and we're sitting across from a man and we're going, I don't know if he's this, I don't know if he's that, or I don't know if this is going to work. And so we're not even able to be, when we're in that mindset, and the mind is going like that, we're not even able to really be present and really create an atmosphere or a safety for a man, or the safety for a man to even show up as himself, because he can feel that it's like kind of a, I'm checking this out because I don't want to waste my time. I hear that all the time from women. Well, I don't want to waste my time or invest too much time and energy into the wrong man. Well, of course you don't, and that's not what we're suggesting. But let's just face it, it takes some time to find out who someone is. And I can remember, and especially to find out the heart and character qualities of a man, you have to give him a chance to show you who he is, just like you want a man to give you a chance to show show him who you are. And I can remember being in this very large, active singles organization here in my city back when I was single. And Kathleen, so often I would have this sense that people were looking each other over and making 2-3 second split 2-3 second level decisions about whether or not they even wanted to talk to somebody. And I can tell you from my own experience, some of these guys that I immediately rejected because I was right in there with them.
Yes.
Were guys I got to know and in some cases dated, and they turned out to be incredible, wonderful men. So I would have missed out, and I know I probably did miss out on some men who could have potentially been really great men.
Yes. Yeah.
So just be careful with that one and have some fun, and remember there's joy in the journey. We're so focused sometimes on the destination. And yes, we want you to be with an amazing man, someone that you feel loved, cherished, and adored by, but there's joy in the journey as well.
Absolutely.
So those are our 5: manning up to find love, being too independent, doubting you can have it all in love and lowering your standards, fear of rejection, being judgmental or overly critical. So we want you to dance with these ideas, play with them a little bit, see if any of these things are in effect for you as they were for Kathleen and I. So Kathleen, lots of love to you, my dear friend.
Right back to you, Michelle.
It's been so fun to dance with you, and I think we got some great ideas out there, and I hope the ladies enjoy it. Sending you all lots of love from Kathleen and I. Bye-bye for now.